Yes, sir. All right. Well, today I'm thinking about I want to make a vase. And what I'm looking for, I've found a really nice piece of maple up on the hill, and I've got it cut down into a blank right here, which I'm going to use for my vase. It's got a little spalting in it, not a whole lot, but it's got a little spalt in it, but it's got good colors, really nice colors in it, and I like it a lot. But what I'm trying to do is just going to try to make a vase. I want it to be probably around 11 inches tall, small at the bottom, kind of wide up about the top 2/3, getting wider up there, with a feature ring. And I'm going to use mahogany for that, and accent with some maple, and well, flaring out the top, and then I'm going to try to decorate the top with maybe with my propane torch. But just to let everybody know, I will work for wood. Captain Eddie, I hope your recovery's still going good. Been hearing good things about it, and hope everything continues to go well for you. My friend Mark Bade has asked woodturners and all to make a picture and send it to him with a "Will Work for Wood" sign to kind of help the captain along just a little bit and kind of lift his spirits some. So that's my little contribution right there. And but anyway, if you want to see how I make this vase, all you got to do is watch. All right. Well, I got my centers marked, and I've punched it with a center punch. I'm going to be mounting this between a spur and my live center. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of relieve these holes a little. It'll help get a better grip. I'm just doing that with a small bit. It's actually smaller than a quarter. I don't know what size it is actually. But I just punch a small hole in there, enough for my spur to drive in. And what this will do is it'll center my spur just before the spurs actually engage. Alright, we're just getting ready to rough it down. Got it mounted between centers. Just going to start doing some roughing. Got my face shield on for this too. Not that it probably wouldn't protect me a whole lot if this thing flew out, but here we go. Okay, let me see. Jen has all the checking. Okay, this end's got all the checking. This end's got most of the spalting, which I want in my end piece if I can keep it. So this is going to be the bottom, and this will be the top. Alright, so what I'm looking at, I want this thing around 11 inches. So I'm going to put a tenon down here, and the tenon will be about 3/8 thereabout. Right, there's a half. Okay. I want about 11 inches overall, so I'm going to go here with it. It's 11 inches. Now, somewhere around 6 or 7, say, what I'm wanting to do is come up like this up to about here. Then I'll have my feature ring, and then it'll curve back and out like so, and then all of that'll be like the flower. So that's about 7 inches deep right there. Okay, so this is going to be where my feature ring is, and then from there up will be the vase top. Alright, so I need it cut right there, and I need it cut right there. Let me go ahead and mark those. Mark them. I think that's it, right? Yep, that's it. Right. I'm going to go ahead and form my tenon down here on this end to go in my chuck. I'm going to be using my stronghold chuck. Let me check the depth, double check the depth on that. It's 1/2 inch. Okay, that's good. And I've got 3/8, and my jaws are 1/2 inch deep, so that leaves me about 1/8 of an inch or a little bit less down here on the bottom. So we're going to go ahead. My jaws close up to 2 inches, so I'm going to open this up. I'm going to make a tenon about maybe 2 1/4 inches. Let me go a little bit more than that. So 2 3/8. We'll go there with it. All right. Got my tenon. I'm going to go over to the bandsaw, and I'm just going to cut these off right there and right there. I'll be right back. I'm just going to make sure that this right here, this is the top part and this is the bottom part. So I'm just going to write B on there for bottom and T for top. So that's going to be the very top of my vase. Got a B and a T, and I'll set that aside, and I'll start getting this one ready to go. I'm just going to get it mounted in my stronghold chuck, and I will be right back. Alright, I'm just getting ready to start shaping. I've got my tenon mounted in my stronghold chuck. So let me back this up. And we'll start getting this thing, start the shaping here. Alright, well I've got the right general shape that I want now. What I'm looking at now is I'm going to drill down to my depth. So I'm just going to lay this up here. I'm going to mark it right here. And then I'm going to try to use this drill to, and all this is, it's just a 1/2 inch drill bit on a handle that I did. Slow the lathe down really good. Just push it in. Working until it goes all the way in. It's a little loud. One more time, we'll get it. Alright, that's got it that deep. That deep. Now I'm ready to start hollowing that out. And I'll go ahead and hollow the bottom. But what I'll do is I'll go ahead first. I want to go ahead and get all my measurements, and I want to go ahead and hollow this out, but I want to get my segments cut first. So I'm going to get started on that now. All right, I'm just getting ready to start figuring out what my little transition ring is going to be. My transition ring is going to be made up of three segmented rings. Okay, they're all going to be the same. I'm just going to basically make one big block, or one ring, one solid ring, and I'm going to put it on top, and then I'm going to turn it to the shape I want. So I've allowed a little bit extra on both sides for that. My vase itself, and I've mocked it up here. Maybe you can see that. It's kind of like this on the paper. But I've drawn kind of the profile right there. The most important thing is that the diameter here be correct. Okay, actually this is the radius, it's a half piece. This represents my center line right down the middle. So I'm going to measure that out. My overall is going to end up being about 4.5, but I've added 1/8 of an inch to the outside, so my overall diameter on my rings to begin with is going to be 4 3/4. Okay, because it's 2 3/8 from here to here, so it would be 4 3/4 all the way to the other side. Okay, now that being said, I've got a 1/4 inch thick here, 1/4 inch here, and a 1/4 inch here. So basically my three rings, I've got 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. Now my segment width is this right here. It's it's 1 3/8. That's actually right about there, but that's 1 3/8. So all those will be 1 3/8. I've got 12-sided. They're all going to be 12-sided rings. So I've got all that marked. Now I need to figure out the circumference of the top. Okay, and that's really kind of easy to do if you've got a calculator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my diameter, 4 3/4 0.75, and I'm going to multiply that times pi, which is 3.14. All right, 14.915. All right. If I don't know how to convert that, I'll just use my little thing here. And I'll find the one that's closest to 4.915. See, 9.1. 906. 915. That's getting into 64, so I don't want to get there. I'm going to work from the 30 seconds up. So the closest that I can get is 29 30 seconds. It looks like. Yep. And that'll give me 0.906. Alright, so that's 29 30 seconds. So I'm looking at my overall circumference. Circumference, okay, ever how you spell it, is 14. And 29 30 seconds. And I just did that using a little conversion that's on the back of my ruler. I just got to the closest to the 0.91 that I could get, and the 29 30 seconds is what I came up with. It'll be very, very close. Alright, so now that gives me my overall circumference. Now I need to divide that by 12 to get my segment length. Alright. $14.91 divided by, alright, so I take my overall length, which is 14 and 29 30 seconds. I'm going to divide that by 12. Divide that by 12, and I get 1.24, which is right dead at 1/4 of an inch. So 1 1/4 inch is what I'm going to cut my segment lengths. 1 1/4. All right. Now the segment length. What I'm talking about with the segment length is the length. When you have a segment here, it's the longest side. Okay, that's going to be the segment length. All right, from the longest side. This is the short side. This is the longest side. Okay, and that's your segment length. Now my stock length, I actually need to go a little bit longer than this. 14 and 29 30 seconds. I need to go longer than that, just simply because you have to have something to hold on to, you know, a little bit extra. So I'm going to say 14. I'm going to say 17. 17. I'll go ahead and go 18 inches. 18 inches. So I added 4 inches to that. Now I'm using two different kinds of wood. I'm going to use maple and I'm going to use mahogany. So I'll have 12 segments of maple. 6 segments of maple and 6 segments of mahogany on each one. So I'll cut them all the exact same according to these specs here, but I'll have 6 of one and 6 of the other. Okay, so anyway, in a nutshell, that's kind of how you can sort of plan that a little bit. Or you can download, if you have a smartphone, which I'm sure you do, you can download a, and I'm not going to go through how to use it, not this time, but you can download these little segment calculators and things like that, like this one here. You put in your inner radius of, you know, what you want here. You punch that in, you punch in your outer radius, punch it in, how many segments you want, and then you just hit calculate, and it pops up down at the bottom. It pops up down here telling you what it is. And this one here I believe is free, but now they make others also that are a little more complicated. They've got a stave calculator, they've got a ring segment calculator here, and it kind of shows you, it goes through and you can hit these and it'll pop up and show you, you know, what you're looking at and things like that. But then if you come down below those, you just have several little inputs that you can input here. And when you input them in, you come to the bottom, you hit calculate, and it pops up everything you need. And that's per ring. That's, you know, that's not for the whole thing. It only does one ring at a time. But if you have a really complicated drawing or plan that you're going by, that's a really good way to go. I would recommend using those. The first one I showed you is it's free, but the other two are like $4 or $5. But okay, using these specs, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting my stock up for my segmented rings, and I'll be right back once I get set up to do that. Okay, well, I've got my stock cut. Alright, I've got the maple and the mahogany. It's all cut to a 1/4 inch thick. It's 1 3/8 inches wide, and that goes by my specs right here. 1/4 inch thick, 1 3/8 inches wide. So I've got that far on my specs done so far. Now I've got to get ready to start cutting my segments. So I'm just going to start out. I want a 12 piece segment. So I'm going to set up my sled for 12 pieces. Alright, set up 12. Now bring your blade height up, just protruding. I usually bring where my teeth come right through, and I'm just going to take off this corner all the way to that corner to start my first segment. Now looking at my paper, my segment length is 1 1/4 inches. So I'm gonna measure this off 1 1/4 inches from the long point. Mark it, and I like to mark it right on the front edge right there, so I can see my saw blade, where my saw blade's going to hit. I'll bring this up. This is my locking block. That should be pretty close right there. I just want that edge of the blade to hit, just barely on the quarter. And that looks like it's going to be just about perfect right there. But I'm just going to move this up and lock it down. Grab my pliers here, because I didn't Don't have a wrench close. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and set up this hold down clamp. I want it to hit here. Just make sure that bolt's not in the line of that blade. Alright, so now I can hold that down nice and securely. If you don't hold that little piece, you can throw it out of your saw. It hits the blade and stuff, and it screws that segment up, but it could hit you in the face. So, but let's make our first test. And I did cut a little extra length on these too, hopefully, if all my plan went right. So let's give this first segment a try. Check our length. And that's dead on 1/4 inch and a quarter. Dead on 1 inch and a quarter. Alright, so my sled is set up to cut these. Now, I've got 12 segments. So I have 6 mahogany and 6 maple per segmented ring. There's 3 rings, so I need 6 times 3 is 18 maple and 18 mahogany. So there's 1 maple. And I'm just going to start cutting these off. Okay, well, now I've got all my segments are cut. I'm just gonna get them all over here, kind of in a pile. A couple of piles anyway. And if you notice, you've always got these little edges that I call them fuzzies. I don't know what a lot of other people call them, but it's these little things like that stick out. It comes from your saw blade. You know, not a whole lot you can do with those, but I sand them off. And I just use a piece of sandpaper, and I just sand them just like that. And that way, when you put these together, the little sawdust things don't get in between them, between your segments, and leave a gap. So, you know, always keep that in mind. And I'm going to hit that top edge right there too. But be very careful. If you hit this edge or this edge with your sandpaper, then what you're going to do is you're going to mess the bevel up on this thing. Somehow or another, you'll put more weight on one side or the other, and you'll end up with gaps. So you know, keep that in mind. But I'm just gonna sand these, you know, and knock the fuzzies off, and I'll be back in just a minute after I get that done. All right, well, I've just got my test piece. I'm just kind of test fitting them. Really nice, good tight joints all the way, which tells me, you know, that my sled is still good and accurate. So anyway, oh, if you want to know how I built that sled, I've got a video on how I did it. I'll leave a link for that. And but anyway, I know these things fit, so now I'm just going to take this back apart, and I'm just going to start gluing them together. It's very complicated getting that blame rubber band on there too. But the way I'll glue these is I'll just start out with one piece, and I'll glue 2 to it. So basically I end up with 3 pieces here. just like that. And I'll stick them together good. And I'll move on to 3 more. And you have to be careful too with a lot of the exotics. They have a lot of oil in them, and the glue doesn't really want to stick to them well. So you know, be careful with those. All right, so there's that. Now I'll move to these. Just, you know, trying to get them to kind of tack together just a little bit, and then I'll come back and I'll put the glue in the others. All right. Once you get there, you have to be a little more careful because this hasn't set yet. Pick up one section that you just glued together, put glue on it, and glue that to the next 2 sections. All right. And just keep on going. Alright, now I haven't put anything together real tight yet. I'm going to go ahead and get the rubber band on. And I think probably the best way to do that, I'm going to grab a paper towel. I'm just going to kind of wipe off a little bit of the excess around this thing. Being careful not to pull it apart. Alright. Then I'll just take my rubber band and wrap it around my wrist like this. Hold all the pieces down while you bring the rubber band in. And you just lay the rubber band all the way around it. And that generally works about as good as I can normally get it to work. But that gets the rubber band all the way around. You might have to come back and make a few little minor adjustments to it, but that gets it all the way around. Then make sure all your segments are lined up properly. Make sure the bottoms are correct, all the corners are touching. All the tops are good. And I think we're good on this one. I'm going to wipe off a little bit of the excess here. Make sure they're all pushed down good. And then that ring is ready to go and be put up. And I'll lay this aside until it gets cured up. And I'll start on my next one, and I'll just continue doing that until I get all my rings glued up. And then I'm going to start hollowing on the inside of that thing again. Okay, so there they are. They're glued up. I'll give them a couple of hours to cure up some so I can get them on the sander and make sure they're good and flat. And then I'll get them all 3 glued together. And during all of this time, I'm going to go ahead and start back working on my vase. Alright. Be right back.